Hello, thanks for joining me this week. As you can see, we've interrupted our regular programs that we'd planned for you because right now I'm in Israel with a group of people that were doing a tour both of Israel and Jordan. Well, I should say we plan to do a tour of Israel and Jordan. But this morning around 3 a.m. we got an unusual wake-up call. Matter of fact, it was an alert. And so I'm sure by now you know that Israel went after Iran. We're not trying to make a political statement. We're simply saying we found out a little bit about what it would be like in Israel because they live under these conditions all the time. Here's what we know. We know that our schedule today was to leave Jerusalem, go to the crossing point, the Allenby Bridge. We're going to be crossing into Jordan. There we begin touring for the next 3 or 4 days. We had some exciting plans. Petra was one, Jerash was one, Mount Nebo. But because of the situation, we just felt like it wasn't safe. Matter of fact, the bridge was actually closed for a period of time. And so now we find ourselves in Jerusalem. Don't feel sorry for us because we're in a hotel. I know the hotel very well. I know the staff very well. And so we've got good beds, we've got great food, and we even have a bomb shelter. Matter of fact, one of the reservations in going into Jordan is because not every hotel is equipped with bomb shelters. But we are. We have a very safe place. And we have lots of news. Matter of fact, you don't know how many texts I've had from back home. And so this is maybe my way to answer those texts from back home. Why is this a unique situation? Number one, the attack that's going on is a large attack. It's equivalent to some of the biggest attacks that they've ever had. Number two, for the most part, Israel did this on their own. We've seen the build-up for it. We've even heard President Trump say, well, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But Israel, I think, almost felt like they were all by themselves. Because for a while, the United States said, we don't even know if they're going to do it. We weren't informed of it. I'll let you decide whether that was truth or fiction, but here's what I know. I know that Israel did a major attack on Iran. We understand there's going to be at least 2 more phases of it, and one may be going on right now. Matter of fact, just 5 minutes ago, we were starting to film this, and all of a sudden, we got an alert on our phone, and we were told to go down to the bomb shelter. And so, out here, I have one of the people on the tour. Matter of fact, she's a graduate of Sunrise Christian Academy, Jessica Klein, and so she's my new photographer. And I've told her that, okay, take a look around if you want to, and if we hear sirens, well, don't be surprised. But we've watched the whole city shut down. The Israeli children didn't go to school today. Most of the Israeli people didn't go to work today. Buses were at an all-time low. And so we begin to sense a little bit about how people feel in Israel. They live like this. For the last 2 years, they've lived like this. Here's what we can tell you. We know that Iran was hit hard. We're seeing pictures, and we're getting pictures sent to us of major top officials in both politically and scientifically that have been either killed or wounded or taken out in Iran. Iran will have to respond back. They need to save face. Right now, they're almost embarrassed because they were caught by surprise. How could they be caught by surprise, you say? Weren't there warnings? Sure. But Netanyahu had a wedding to attend. And so I think they thought, okay, he's not going to do it this weekend. Well, guess what? In a city that is a Jewish population, there's an Arab population. Matter of fact, in the background, you're going to hear the call to prayer. We hear that several times a day. And so anytime you're close to a mosque, that's what you're going to hear. I think there's some valuable lessons to learn. Number one, listen to this, and this is what Billy Crone, one of the people on the tour, who's a prophecy preacher, a good friend of mine, he read to us from Psalm 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver me from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers. Under His wings shall you trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. What an incredible psalm. And so actually we read that psalm for our devotion this morning, and we were in a bomb shelter. Well, the truth is we carry a bomb shelter with us, and that's Jesus Christ. So what are our plans? Well, right now, we missed our touring in Jordan. We don't mind giving that up. But we are concerned, how do we get out? At the moment, the Tel Aviv airport is shut down. And they're warning us that it might be shut down for the next 2 weeks or 3. We also know that the airport in Amman was shut down. Why? Because after the initial attack of Israel on Iran fired back somewhere between 100 and 200 missiles. Had we crossed the border as scheduled, we would have been right in Jordan when the missiles were coming over Jordan, and every missile was downed. Not by Jordan's defense, but by Israel's defense. I don't know, I've been here under several situations. I was here when they went after Saddam Hussein. I was here when they went after Gaddafi. But I don't think I've ever experienced the sirens going off like we did today. Here's my point. The Middle East is in turmoil. Matter of fact, they keep talking about peace. They keep talking about negotiations. Guess what? There's no peace. Negotiations are failing. But here's what I do know. I do know that the world's going to be looking for an Antichrist, someone who can make peace. On this trip, we had a chance to see the red heifers. What an experience. We went to Shiloh. We watched the dig there. We saw the history of the temple there. It's incredible. We met with 3 archaeologists that are good friends of ours, Dr. Scott Ripley, Abigail, and Micah. And we had a great time watching them sift through the debris, finding coins and tidbits, and we even got to gather pottery. It was a wonderful time because so much of Israel's history is in Shiloh. That's where it began. We walked across the Temple Mount. We walked next to the Western Wall. We walked through the Rabbi's Tunnel. We've had an incredible time, but what a punctuation mark it is at the end of the tour. So people are saying, are you safe? To be honest, I do feel safe. The reason I feel safe is because I know that the hand of God is our protection. No matter what you plan for in life, guess what? Something can happen. But I believe that we're doing the right thing here because we have a chance to talk to both Jews and Arabs, and they wonder how come we're a pretty happy group. Well, we should be happy. We have a bomb shelter, we have beds, and we have good food. But most of all, we have Jesus Christ. And so when the world news is at its worst, that's when we as Christians are at our best. I wish some of you could be here with me. Oh, not to scare you, but what I'd like for you to see is to experience what is it like for the Jewish people. They have lived this way for almost 2 years, since October the 7th. Every night there's a possibility. Literally, a few minutes before we started this video, my phone alarm went off. People in the hotel lobby said, go downstairs. And I came out here, we started to shoot, and even my friends who run the store said, you gotta go in, you gotta go in. These are I'm gonna say kids that I took care of when they were babies. Now they're grown, they say their job is to take care of me. Well, most of all, I hope I can share Jesus Christ with them. You see, we live in a troubled world. You don't have to be in the Middle East to experience a troubled world. But here's what I know. I know that over 2,000 years ago, in this very city, in a place called the Temple Mount, or Golgotha, the north end of the Temple Mount, Christ died on the cross for my sins, for your sins. But I think there's a lot of people in America, and they think, okay, I'm safe. But you know what? More important than being safe is to be saved from the wrath of God. God said that the area right here is going to be a turmoil in the last days. He said that all the nations will turn against Israel. I wondered if maybe this is one of those events where when Israel defends itself, and I think they had to. We have heard that Iran had 15 atomic weapons ready for use. We know that Israel would be among the first to experience their wrath. I'm concerned for America because I think the terrorist cells in America are very sympathetic to anything that would destroy Israel and America. No one is safe in this world, but you can be saved, and that's to accept Christ as your personal Savior. So I appreciate all the concern. I appreciate all the texts and emails. Sorry I can't answer them all, but I just think it would be fun for you to say, wow, you know what? We're watching history being made in front of our eyes. We're watching the whole situation in the Middle East being exposed. And so thank you for watching. We'll be back with other reports. Lord willing, we plan to be home, and well, we can't tell you exactly when, but I hope in the next 3 or 4 days. In the meantime, pray for us. Pray not just for our safety, but pray that we'll be a testimony to these people. Thanks again for watching today. God bless you. See you next week.
Are the asteroids, the meteorites, are they already on their way? Or what the Bible talks about in Revelation, the book of Revelation, talks about hail falling on the earth, meteorites. Are they already on their way? That's a good question. You may say that's an odd question. But did you know that also in the book of Job, Job chapter 38, verse 22, look at this. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, or seen the storehouses of the hail? Verse 23, which I reserve for times of trouble, for days of war and battle. Wow. Here's the question, folks. Does God already have a storehouse of hail? Are the fault lines in the earth already cracking and moving for massive tornadoes? Earthquakes? Because the Bible speaks about earthquakes like this world has never seen. You know, we've got all these judgments that are happening in the book of Revelation, your trumpet judgments. And then it really ramps up with your bowl judgments. Really ramps up. We just finished that up on Sunday nights on Revelation chapter 16. Earthquakes like this world has never seen. Is the ground underneath us already shifting? Because scientists are studying earthquakes and are quite alarmed. And they're even now talking about fault lines that they say have been ignored, some of them here in the U.S. There are scientists, like here's the New York Post. The New York Post. This is a new article last week, May 28th, 2025. 3 city-killing asteroids could strike Earth within weeks, generating 1 million times more energy than Hiroshima, that atomic bomb. This is not the only one. We've got quite a few articles like this. Here's the one about scientists now monitoring 7 overlooked fault lines across the U.S. Here's another one. May 26, 2025, NASA monitoring trio of house-sized asteroids skimming Earth at hypersonic speed. How about some that are still far out? Has God already released some of these asteroids? Has he already started to let the tectonic plates shift to prepare for the things that are discussed in the Bible? Does he already have a storehouse of hail per Job 38, verse 22 and 23? Is the stage being set in more ways than most of us know? Even those of us who study this full time pretty much. Is the stage being set in the Middle East? Is the stage being set economically, militarily, spiritually? With the rise of anti-Semitism, the hatred of Christianity and Christians, the rise of persecution of many Jews, many Christians on a global scale. Many people are losing faith in their governments. They're looking for an answer, a leader, someone that will step forward and actually solve the world's problems. Is the stage being set for a one world leader? The increasing interest in UFOs by members of Congress holding committee meetings on it and hearings. A white paper released by the Pentagon with a scientist out of Harvard about UFOs. The Bible speaks an awful lot in Revelation about these entities that come on the earth that I think are demons. But could that be used to UFOs, extraterrestrials be used as a way to describe that, what's going on? Or the removal, if you believe in a pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib, whatever you believe in there, about the removal of Christians from the face of the earth, will UFOs be used as a cover that these were the negative people? It just seems like so much is happening to set the stage for what's coming. But do we notice? Joining me now from Israel tonight live Dr. Rob Lindsted. Dr. Lindsted, welcome back to the broadcast. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, my pleasure to be with you.
What do you make of my opening monologue here?
Well, the Bible certainly talks about the tribulation time is going to have disasters like we've never seen. And you can almost divide it into three areas. And I say three areas because there's 21 judgments. There's seals that are broken. And then it seems like God comes back and he intensifies them with the trumpets. And then things really get bad when he pours the bowls out. And so it's like there's a warning that God has given to us. I think I'm concerned, the increase in earthquakes, it's not something that you'd say is natural. It's unnatural, and but it's predictable. And so these scientists, I mean, these aren't God-fearing people. These are scientists, and they're watching scientific data. I think another thing that we can add to that whole mix is the weather manipulation. Do you remember? Sorry to do that to you. I'm suffering from over talking today and weather and hay fever.
I understand.
But remember, a few years ago, they were talking about how that because of cows, that we're ruining the environment. Drinking coffee, we're messing up the environment. We're going to have an app that's going to be a carbon counter. This is crazy. That the weather modifications from cows, coffee, that stuff, it's nothing compared to what are they doing with weather. More and more evidence shows that they are actually targeting cities, regions of the country to bring about severe weather. They're changing magnetic fields. And so the more they ignore this, the more I think, okay, there's probably some truth to it. So look at all the things that are, I'm going to say, just going almost haywire. We've got earthquakes like we've never seen before. We've got flooding, weather manipulation like we've never seen before. We've got everything is out of control. When you look at I'm going to say the Earth data, the Earth health, it's not very healthy. And now we add in a political mix. And to me, what it says is this would be a perfect way to get the world to say, we really need someone to solve problems. So who are they going to go to? They're going to go to an antichrist. This guy's going to pretend like he's got the solution to problems scientifically, earth-wise, weather-wise. Man, you can't play games with God when it comes to these earthquakes. They're devastating. You can't play games with God when it comes to these tornadoes. They're taking hundreds of lives. So we've got to be careful because God's running out of time and patience with us.
Indeed, he is. What do you make of Revelation chapter 11, verse 19? This is at the seventh trumpet judgment. And the temple of God, which is in heaven, was opened, and the ark of his covenant appeared in his temple. And there was flashes of lightning and sounds of pearls of thunder and an earthquake and a great hail storm. And I just read, Dr. Lindsted, from Job chapter 38, verse 22. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow or seen the storehouses of the hail, which I have reserved for times of trouble, for the days of war and battle? Do you think that some of these things that are being discussed in Revelation, that they're already, the stage is being set even naturally? Meteorites, asteroids, hailstorms, plagues, pandemics, as we have all these level 4 bioweapon laboratories around the world, many of them that are leaking. Yeah, this week we had 2 Chinese CCP folks arrested in Michigan. And the FBI says they're loyal to the CCP, and they were bringing in a pathogen that is known as a biological weapon against crops, particularly wheat. Apparently the CCP wants to destroy our food supply. Do you think many of these things, the plagues, the bioweapons, the hail, the meteorites, the asteroids they're worried about, the earthquake fault lines, is this all setting the stage? Is the earth already starting to be prepared and groaning for the tribulation that's about to unfold once I think the church is removed?
Well, I've not considered that passage in Job 38 before, but you know when you read it, it makes perfect sense because God has warned us that judgment's coming. I think we're looking at that because we're a political mess. I think we're an economic mess, and now we're an environmental mess. We're perfectly set up for an antichrist.
Well, speaking of that, what are the people in Israel saying about Benjamin Netanyahu? What are they saying about their own government? What are they saying about Donald Trump? What is the confidence and the ability do they have in the wherewithal of Netanyahu and Trump to deal with the threats against Israel and to deal with Iran? Not to mention, you've been there now while rockets are being shot in from Syria. What is the temperature of the Israeli people concerning their own leader and our leader here in America?
I think they've lost confidence in them. They were optimistic that because Netanyahu talked a big talk, Trump talked a big talk. It sounded like, okay, we're gonna make it so that they've got to give back the hostages. We're going to make it so they have to accept some kind of a settlement. Nothing's happened. They keep drawing a line, and sorry,
That's all right.
and people keep crossing that line. So they've lost hope. They thought Trump was going to make a kind of be an enforcer. Now they say, was he bought by the people of the Arab countries? Because it looks like it's more about investments. It looks like it's more about let's make economic deals than it is about bringing home hostages and bringing freedom to the forefront.
Mm. Well, and look at this headline today out of the Jerusalem Post. U.S. proposes interim step in Iran nuclear talks, allowing some uranium enrichment. Boy, I'll tell you something. As I said on radio today, Iran has played one administration after another, and they just keep buying time and buying time and buying time. And I'm not buying this idea that they're this close to getting the nuclear weapon. I think they have multiple bombs already. The question is how many? I'm not buying that they don't have a method for delivery. I think they have plenty of missiles that they can have purchased from Russia or China, or more likely North Korea. But boy, they have just played one administration and slow walk this while they just keep adding. And now the U.S. is proposing an interim step that allows them to develop more enrichment, uranium enrichment. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's foolish. Everyone knows it's foolish. The only ones being fooled are the leaders. I just felt like Trump was going to be stronger on this, but he's fallen right into it. The truth is, he talked about, okay, we're going to do something horrible. They've passed it so many times. The headlines are saying 60% enrichment, enough for 10 bombs. You only need enough for one. The people of Israel are disgusted because they say, is there really a leader in the world that can deliver? Well, I'm afraid that sets the stage for an antichrist because he tricks them. He says, yeah, I'm going to deliver, and it's going to look like he can because they've given up hope on their government. They're now giving up hope on Trump. Why? The wars continue. Iran's getting stronger, not weaker. And the hostages aren't returned. Government is at an all-time low in terms of delivery to people for what they're elected for.
Tell me about what is happening to the IDF over there and the war going on between the government and the Orthodox Jews who are conscientious objectors. They don't go off to war. Their kids don't belong to the IDF. They're not forced to join the IDF for a period of time like everybody else is. What is happening to your supply of warfighters and your internal tension among Israelis themselves, between the ones going off to war, whose kids are going to war, versus the Orthodox who have the majority of the children whose kids are exempt? Tell me about that.
Well, they're very frustrated, and here's what they say. It's easy to say, let's do war. But if your kids never have to serve, you're never threatened with, I'm going to lose one of my kids. Some of these men have been fighting 600 days they've lost their jobs. Their job says, we can't continue to hold your work. Some have come back and said, you know what? I'm so mentally, physically drained from the war. I can't perform at the level I did before. So some of them have been arrested. Some are being in lawsuits. I'm hurting for them because they say we can't continue this. This war is drug out for 600 days, and the truth is we need a leader. Where is a leader in the world? Is it in our country, Israel? Is it America? Is it someone's got to be a leader to say, let's finish this whole process?
Could Benjamin Netanyahu get himself reelected again if there were elections held right now?
Not a chance. Not a chance. You know, they had to put together a coalition, and the coalition is falling apart.
Let's go to this video footage that's come out. Watch this, folks. Here we go. Well, get it to play here. Here we go.
This morning, the fallout from the Boulder, Colorado firebombing attack. The wife and 5 children of suspect Mohammed Sabri Soliman now in ICE custody, being processed for expedited deportation.
Mohammed's despicable actions will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But we're also investigating to what extent his family knew about this horrific attack.
Chilling video shows what appears to be the moment the suspect threw a Molotov cocktail into a peaceful group of Jewish demonstrators.
I want to show that again, folks. Watch him walk up and do that.
Setting innocent demonstrators into a peaceful group of Jewish demonstrators.
Wow.
Setting innocent people and later himself on fire, allegedly yelling "Free Palestine" at the crowd and injuring a dozen people before he was taken into custody. Authorities saying they recovered a weed sprayer backpack containing flammable liquid along with 16 unused Molotov cocktails. Soliman is an Egyptian national and was allegedly in the country illegally after overstaying his tourist visa. ABC News has learned he appeared to record pro-terror messages just hours before. Among those injured in the attack, at least one of them is still in the hospital in serious condition. Rabbi Mark Soloway knows several of the victims, one of them an 88-year-old woman who previously survived the Holocaust.
She's an incredibly resilient person who is horrified that in her lifetime she can see a resurgence of anti-Semitism, something that she and her family survived.
And that Rabbi also talked about the grief and the fury of having Jewish people set on fire in the streets of America in 2025. The suspect is due back in court tomorrow, George.
What are they saying in Israel about this, Dr. Woods? I mean, Dr. Lindsted?
Well, they're so disappointed. They thought they had a friend in America, but they say, you know what? We're being hated around the world. We don't initiate these problems, but we're the ones that are hated for these problems. They talk continually about France. They say France is gone. I have a couple of people with me from the United Kingdom. They say I haven't been in the United Kingdom for several years. They say if you'd come, you wouldn't recognize it. They said we don't recognize our country. The people of Israel say, you know what? The world is insane. Why are they picking on us? They say, what have we done? And they point to the Coloradans and say, what have we done? People can yell and scream about all kinds of things. They're not even arrested. And we have a peaceful demonstration. We're killed and nobody cares. It's almost like it's our fault that we were victims. And what's our crime? And their crime is they were born Jewish. The world's out of control. And I think it's God's way of getting our attention. Sooner or later, we got to come to grips with the fact that the fallen nature of man, and I think the activity the Bible speaks of in Ephesians, spiritual activity in high places, we're watching that gain ground against sanity and I'd say common sense. It's gone.
It's gone.